Perhaps one of the reasons Hey Arnold still holds a special place in many people's hearts is that it had such heartfelt and touching plots. Behind many of the plots was none other than Arnold Shortman, the titular character with a football head. Arnold was known to be kind and to look at the bright side. He was also known to provide great support and advice to his friends. Knowing what we know about Arnold, if he was a food, he'd be a potato.
You need to leave!
Let me explain. This may sound anticlimactic, if not downright insulting, to describe Arnold as a potato, but hear me out. According to Eat This Not That, potatoes are superstars when it comes to creating mood-boosting and anxiety-fighting serotonin. Serotonin is sometimes known as the happy chemical because of its influence on mood. Throughout the series, we have seen Arnold help countless people improve not only their general moods, but their lives as well. In Arnold's Christmas, we see Mr. Wynn upset prior to the holidays, which leads Arnold on a quest to find his daughter. Beyond that, potatoes are very versatile. They can be made into potato chips, french fries, mashed potatoes, loaded potatoes, the list goes on. If you ever tasted a plain potato, you know by themselves they are not very appetizing, but they don't let the blandness stop them. You can take a single potato, which on its own doesn't look too appetizing, and make something great out of it. And that's sort of what Arnold does. He always looks on the bright side.
Gerald, we had fun, and we almost beat him.
Why do you do that, Arnold? Why do you always have to look on the bright side?
Somebody has to.
We've covered Arnold. Now it's time to talk about his best bud, Gerald. And Gerald as a food would be garlic. Once again, this may be off-putting, but let me explain. First things first, garlic can be used as an addition to a variety of foods. You have your garlic bread, meats can often be sauteed in garlic butter, and you can even make garlic potatoes. I think you know where I'm going with this. Garlic adds something special to each meal. Garlic can be a great complement to whatever you may be cooking, as Gerald was a special sidekick to Arnold, always with him through all of his adventures. A head of garlic also contains individually wrapped cloves, which is like Gerald as the keeper of the tales. He has many stories inside just waiting to be told. Last but not least, garlic is easily burned. Garlic is often minced very finely, so if the heat is too high or if you don't keep a good watch on it, you will have a mess of burnt garlic on your hands. You can kind of say the same of Gerald. In the series, we see him sometimes getting over his head, like in Gerald's game where he gets caught up in the role-playing card game, or the High Life when he gets over his head with selling watches. So unfortunately, this time Arnold and Gerald won't be a banana and strawberry, but instead a potato and garlic. Next, there's Helga Pataki, and if she was a food, she would be fugu, a type of pufferfish. Fugu can be served in stew, deep fried, or in its most popular form as fugu sashimi, where the fish is sliced extremely thin. Known to be extremely toxic, fugu contains lethal amounts of the poison tetrodotoxin. The results of this poison are downright scary. Victims become paralyzed and are unable to breathe while remaining fully conscious. Only trained and certified chefs can prepare the dish, ensuring there is no poison, and when it is prepared, it is a highly celebrated dish. Helga reminds me of this food because she is simply put very mean. She hurls insults at her classmates, and it is not uncommon for her to threaten physical violence or actually engage in it. She further reminds me of fugu because it's not particularly her fault that she is the way she is. Helga has a pretty unfortunate life. Her mom is usually shown to be out of it, her dad rarely shows her love and attention, and she constantly lives in the shadow of her older sister Olga. All of this neglect leads Helga to be the way she is. The same with fugu. Fugu gets its tetrodotoxin from eating other animals with the bacteria. If fugu is placed in an environment without the bacteria, it can actually be non-poisonous. So Helga Pataki is fugu, a dish that can be quite toxic, but in the right environment is actually not that threatening. Next up is Helga's best pal, Phoebe. If Phoebe was a food, she would be grilled octopus. This was perhaps the easiest association because of two standout facts about octopus. They are considered to be extremely intelligent and also live a life of solitude. Octopus may have occasional social interactions, but don't form deep social interactions like other intelligent animals. In regards to their intelligence, octopus have big brains, and they have proved their intelligence in several ways, such as by carrying coconut shells as armor and being able to open the lid on a jar. Phoebe was known to be the smartest student in her class, as evident by her participation in winning academic competitions, as well as her being skipped up to the 6th grade in Phoebe Skips. She was also known to be quiet and meek, only talking to Helga. Next is Eugene. Eugene was another student at PS 118 and was known for having bad luck. He would often fall or crash and then belt out his saying, "I'm okay." With that in mind, if Eugene was a food, he'd be a banana. Bananas are actually known to be bad luck, particularly on a boat. There is lots of speculation on the potential root of this superstition. Some believe that the belief came from the fact that spiders were known to be in banana crates that were loaded onto ships. Spider bites were hard to treat at the time, so the results of a spider bite could be pretty grim. Another reason for the superstition are personal stories of ships that have had some misfortune and just so happen to also be carrying bananas. Some examples of Eugene's misfortune throughout the series include when Arnold accidentally kills his pet goldfish, ended up in the hospital after crashing his bike, and in the Jungle movie where he inflates like a ball due to a previously unknown allergy.
Pataya! Well, I guess I'll add pataya to my allergy list.
Next up is Harold. If Harold was a food, he would be an egg, primarily because, like an egg, he is hard on the outside but soft on the inside. Harold is known to bully the other kids. One of his catchphrases I remember him saying is, "I'm gonna pound you."
Now why don't you make it easy on yourself and hold still? Why pound that football head of yours flat?
But Harold was also known to have a soft side, like the episode Harold's Kitty, where he cares for a stray kitty. If you have made eggs before, you know that it just takes a simple tap to crack open an egg, which is another way in which Harold is like an egg. He likes to play tough, but he's easily broken. In fact, throughout the series, he often cries and yells for his mom. On to Sid. If Sid was a food, he would be a big plate of spaghetti and meatballs. Sid was known to get into some trouble along with Harold and Stinky, and to go a bit overboard as well. His personality is often described as paranoid. In Sid and Germs, he becomes extremely obsessed with cleanliness, and in Arnold Saves Sid, he becomes obsessed with repaying Arnold for saving his life. Spaghetti and meatballs is an extremely messy food. You try to get a bite, and the next thing you know, you have spaghetti sauce smeared on your face and noodles falling out of your mouth. Kind of like Sid. One minute he's friends with Stinky, and the next he thinks he's a vampire. His character was a little all over the place, for sure. The last out of the crew that I'm going to cover in this video is Rhonda. Rhonda Wellington Lloyd was a self-proclaimed fashionista. If Rhonda was a food, she would be an extravagant wedding cake. Cakes are quite easy to make, and oftentimes you can just buy a box cake, slap some frosting on it, and call it a day. However, with some of the more extravagant wedding cakes, there's a lot of effort put into the appearance, and they oftentimes give off the illusion of elegance, and people admire their beauty like a work of art. Rhonda reminds me of a wedding cake because that's how she thought of herself, above average. Rhonda didn't think of herself as just a regular girl. She thought she was cool and popular and extremely fashionable. So much so that she hosts a cool party where she creates a list of who she considers cool versus the geeks. If Rhonda goes broke, she is unable to cope with her family losing their money. And in Rhonda's glasses, she is once again upset that she has to wear glasses that interfere with her popularity. That's all the characters I'm going to be covering in this video. In summary, we have Arnold as a potato, Gerald as garlic, Helga as fugu, Phoebe as grilled octopus, Eugene as a banana, Harold as an egg, Sid as spaghetti and meatballs, and Rhonda as a wedding cake. That's not too bad of a spread. We have carbs, protein, dessert, and a fruit. The only thing we're missing is a vegetable. I know there are a lot of people I didn't cover, but I didn't want to make this video too long. Comment down below if you want a part 2. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.